That's a pretty light-hearted take on Trump surviving being shot.
In the ear and not the brain. Wow. Okay. All right. That was disturbing. So, Martin Luther King Day yesterday.
Martin Luther King Jr., who was assassinated back in a time where we got so whipped up over a variety of things that started happening on a regular basis. And I don't want that to happen again.
And back when, if there was political violence, both sides would say, that is completely unacceptable. And they wouldn't throw in a bunch of caveats about, I didn't disagree, or I didn't agree with everything Charlie Kirk said, or I really didn't like what he said, but no, they would just go ahead and say that's horrible. Anyway, so Robert L. Woodson Sr., American civil rights activist, community leader, author, etc. He's an old fella. He's an OG civil rights activist. And he wrote a letter for Martin Luther King Day that is powerful stuff, and it should be picked up absolutely everywhere, but it's been picked up practically nowhere. The Journal published it, but he wrote this. Black America must declare a one-year moratorium on whining about racism.
Not because racism has disappeared, and not to stop the sensitivity of white America, but because grievance has become a shield protecting predators within our communities. Accusations of racism are routinely weaponized to silence accountability, excuse corruption, and reward moral cowardice. Old boy still got it. Plainly here. Martin Luther King Jr. warned us against this
temptation. In his final book, he wrote, quote, "It is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of high maturity to rise to the level of self-criticism. If we truly honor his legacy, we must do what too many leaders refuse to do, confront the enemy within. The enemy is most visible in the epidemic of black-on-black violence. In a single year, more black lives are destroyed by this violence than were killed by the Ku Klux Klan in 4 decades of terror. Every year. An elderly black man was beaten to death for inquiring why a 14-year-old boy was out at 3 a.m. with his 10-year-old brother as part of a gang of black juveniles. Children are shot at birthday parties. Pregnant women, homeless men, and innocent bystanders are brutalized by teenagers who have learned that life is cheap and accountability optional. These aren't isolated tragedies. They are symptoms of moral collapse. Yet such stories rarely dominate national headlines. Civil rights leaders and politicians remain conspicuously silent, waiting instead for the next police shooting or racial controversy they can exploit for media attention and moral posturing. Call out this silence and you will be accused of racism, bullied into retreat by those who profit from outrage while ignoring the suffering in their own backyard. This silence isn't compassion, it's cowardice.
Did you read this? Al Sharpton, you fraud, and MSNBC, who has him on every time there's a racial story, is some sort of, the leading light of fixing these problems?
Right. Media attention and moral posturing. That is their goal. The same moral blindness fuels corruption. Considering the massive pandemic relief fraud in Minneapolis, where nearly $250 million, probably much more than that, meant to feed hungry children was stolen, whistleblowers raised alarms early, but every question was deflected with accusations of racism until the money was gone. When the accountability dies, predators prosper. Ooh, that's a good sentence. When accountability dies, predators prosper. When every critique is labeled racist, justice collapses. Here is the truth we must confront. Poverty doesn't produce moral decay. Deprivation doesn't produce depravity. It never has. We once endured conditions far worse than today without losing our moral compass. During Jim Crow, when racism was written into law, black neighborhoods were safer than today. Elders were respected. Children could walk the streets without fear. Families were intact. Churches were full. And black marriage rates during the Great Depression were higher than for any other group in America. We had less money but more order, less power but more integrity. Then he harkens back to his growing up when black communities were sanctuaries from white violence, not danger zones for our own children. Moral discipline, faith, and strong families were our first line of defense. Then came the transformation. The civil rights movement dismantled segregation and expanded opportunity, an extraordinary achievement. But over time, leadership shifted from moral suasion to political patronage. Welfare replaced mutual aid. Bureaucrats replaced neighbors. Racial grievance replaced dignity. Poor blacks were told they could only be redeemed by outsiders, while a growing civil rights industry prospered by managing their despair As conditions deteriorated, blame shifted outward. Failures of policy and leadership were not blamed on incompetence or corruption, but on vague systemic forces rooted in history. This narrative absolved leaders of responsibility and stripped communities of agency.
And that was printed where?
The Wall Street Journal.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, there's not a lot of money to be made on it.
No. So, we going to get Greenland or not? Trump's in Switzerland. More on the way.
Armstrong and Getty.
Health goals and wealth goals. Important step. Identity theft leading to there's millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Here's a tale of Linda trying to lose weight, but the med prices she found were all over the place.
Hidden fees and markups made her jaw drop low. Then she found GoodRx. Now she's in the know.
GLP-1 subscriptions FDA approved.
With clear upfront pricing.
And same-day pickup.
That's GoodRx, the no-nonsense way. Save time and money on prescriptions.
Get to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
The KONP Home Show is back. Vendor applications are now being accepted for the largest two-day marketing event on the Olympic Peninsula. This event's a great way to showcase your business and reach thousands of potential customers. The KONP Home Show is March 14th and 15th. Sign up now to get the best booth location and lock in the lowest rate. Call 360-457-1450 to reserve your space at the 41st Annual KONP Home Show, March 14th and 15th at Port Angeles High School.
I am a radio commercial. You can't see me, but that doesn't mean we can't have a one-on-one conversation. I can be intimate. I can be bold. I can be used to tell you about a one-day only sale! Or about why my family trusts a particular person or product. You and I can chat daily or sometimes just on the weekend, but we never stop communicating. I may make you laugh. I can make you